let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making the lora bag. This is my pattern, the lora mixed with the Fiona bag from Isaiah. I do have a cutting video for this if you're curious, but I absolutely loved the way this turned out. It's so good. Couple mistakes that I made was this should be placed at like 5.5, not 4.5, so that it's very clearly out of this portion. You can put it wherever you would like though. When I top stitched, I even said to top stitch above the zipper so it went down, but instead I top stitched under, which created more bulk in this area than I needed. It worked out, it's fine, but you don't want it to be perky, you want it to be a depressed zipper so that that magnet works a little bit better. But I think it turned out so good. I hope my cousin likes it, and I can't wait to show you how to make it. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, let's go. We're gonna get started on working on our bow lora bag. I do have a cutting video on this if you're not sure what I'm cutting, what I'm making. Well, I would imagine you know what I'm making because you watched the intro if you got this far, so never mind. So the first thing I want to do is start out with making my handles and placing those on the front panel. Reason being, it'll help me know exactly where I need the bow to go. Sorry, I just realized I need a nameplate. So for that, I'm gonna grab a 1.5 inch D-ring, my nameplate, and my handles. And that should be it for right now that we absolutely have to have. Just want to know that I've got that ready to go. So I've got my handles here. These are 3 inches wide. And I've got a center mark at 1.5. And we're just going to place this right up against that line. This is like a faux rolled handle. And it's going to have a little bit of an edge that you can see. So you want it to be as flush as possible. And this does have a raw edge along the bottom of that handle. So what I will do is flip this over and I'll just trim any excess vinyl that's hanging where it shouldn't be. And we're going to mark 3 inches in from each edge. So I'm just making a little tiny mark on the outside edge with a removable pen, and that is where I'm going to start and stop sewing. So I'm going to fold those in half, meeting there, and we're going to start sewing there. I've got like a 4.5 stitch length. And I did back stitch when I started. And I'm just folding the handle in half until I get to that next set of marked lines. And I'll back stitch as well. Then you can take your lighter. If you would prefer to pull your threads to the back and tie off, go for it. All right, and then I'm going to take a little bit of double-sided tape along the bottom edge of that handle so that I can place this down later. It's optional, but I am going to add the 1.5 inch D-ring to that strap. Just as like a little place to hang a keychain or a key, just keys, something cute, whatever you want to hang off of it. I'll probably hang the tassel off of it just to have a place for it, but it's not necessary. And I'm working slow, making sure I fold that edge in all the way, and there's no gap. But you'll see I've got that little edge sticking up there. That's okay. I'm just cutting the back edge away. And then we're going to mark 3 inches. You do not have to mark it on both sides of the strap. Like, you do need to on both ends, but not both sides. I just like to so that I can meet them up a little bit better. And if you have a method for a rolled strap that you like better, feel free to do that. Or a rolled handle, I should say. I just find that this suits the weight of the bag. So it doesn't have the tubing inside of it and stuff like that. So it's a more lightweight version of a rolled handle. A real, like for real rolled handle. All right, taping the bottom edge of the strap, and then we can, it says next would be to make your crossbody strap, but I can wait for that because I want to go ahead and attach these. So we're going to place these 3 inches down and 1.5 inch in. And so what I like to do is I'll grab 2 rulers to help me place these. And remember that these are taller than they are wide. So we'll set up 1.5 inch in. And 3 inches down. So I'm creating this little template for myself. And your top stitched line should be towards the back. Okay. And then we'll repeat that. One and a half and 3. And I'm pressing it into that little template piece that I've created. And then you can pick which side gets the D-ring, which one doesn't. I'll go ahead and start with the D-ring so that I know. So I'm just going to kind of lift this up a little bit, slide that on, and tape it back down into place. And this gets secured with a stitch above and your top stitching underneath. You don't want it just slid onto the strap or it's going to kind of dangle and wiggle around. So for that, you're going to make a 1.25 inch rectangle. To stitch around. And then on the other one, it's going to be 1.5. Yeah, 1.25 inch box. Oh. So, I don't know if I made it wrong or if I've just been doing this, but I do 1.25 by 1.5 on the other sides, leaving about 1/8 inch. So once you have this one sewn on, you're gonna do a quick little top stitch line above the D-ring and that'll kind of secure it into place. And you can leave your threads nice and long and back stitch, but you could also do an X through your top stitching if you'd prefer to do that. Okay. Long tails. Pulling my threads to the back. Make sure you're watching so you're not pulling the wrong thread. Yeah, I think I've almost pulled the wrong thread. Did I? Honestly, it's so much easier to do this with variegated thread. Oh my god. I don't think I realized that until just now. Okay, I don't think that's the one I want. No, it's not. Where is it? I don't know. I think that one was secure, so it's fine. All right, so you'll slide this down, and then you're just gonna sew above that. And so that secures that D-ring and your strap. And like this bag is so small that it's never going to hold so much that that has to be, truly has to be riveted on, especially if you're using a nice sturdy thread. All right, so long thread tails. Pull them to the back. Where you at, girl? Okay, so then we'll tie these off. And if you trust yourself, you can sew that X through there, like if it works with your bag as well. Oh, that's what you are. I need you to come back here. All right, so this is not going to be the side that I add my bow to. This will be my back side that gets the slip pocket. Since I have that D-ring, I think it's kind of nice to have it on the back so that whatever you hang could potentially also sit into your slip pocket, but I think it looks so precious. Oh my gosh. And I'm just using some good old DNA to kind of pick up that silver pen. Alrighty. So this is going to be our front side that gets the bow. And there's two different ways that I have attached bows to bags, probably more than that to be honest. But I think my preference is going to be a hidden strap connector, but you can also do like a buttonhole technique where you put a square of fabric much bigger than you need it, right sides together, sew around the opening you need and turn it through and kind of top stitch it. But yeah, like I said, it's not my go-to. It's not my favorite. And then I'm gonna do 1 1/4 by 1 1/2. If you wanna do just a 1 1/4, that is fine, it works. And sometimes what I'll do if I'm worried about my marking pen not coming off is I'll just do 4 little dots the size I need. Oh, I see. Okay, go on. Go lay down. Go lay down. Luckily, my cousin Claudia doesn't mind cats. Oh my god, I wonder if I have any may contain cat hair labels. And so right now, I'm just connecting the dots. And I didn't backstitch anywhere. I'm just pulling my threads. Just be careful when you're pulling your threads that you're not pulling the wrong ones and that you're not compromising the strength of your thread by tearing it somehow, cutting it with your snips or something. And then also make sure that you're pulling them an appropriate amount of tight. Like you don't want to over pull. It's similar to your sewing machine, like you have to have tension accurate for them. That way you don't have loose threads on the front of the bag or anything. And then, like, sometimes I will knot them together and I'll cut them and I'll snip them and I'll, oh my gosh. That was gonna be the top of the bag. That's okay, I can remark it, but that's funny. These marks need to be at the top, but I'll explain that later. Alrighty, so now that our handle is attached, we can work on adding the bow. So my bow pieces, if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, I cut these pieces using the Fiona bag from Izazaya. Izazaya, I think that is correct. So I'm just gonna be working from that. I'm gonna see if I like the width of this bow because I can always cut it and trim it down. This bow center. I think I'm going to trim it just by like 1/4 of an inch. I used to make hair bows to make some money, so I know a thing or two about bows. Okay, that's good. And it's like 1 1/8. It's fine. It'll be good. So I'm going to top stitch this along either side. And this is way longer than I need it to be. This is longer than it is in the pattern. And this is because I will need to secure this into the bag as well. I need plenty within my hidden connector. Speaking of hidden connectors, I'm going to be using this hidden connector placement guide tool from Jolie Lee Creations when I do this. Now, this piece we cut on the fold and then folded it in half to create our bow tails. I'm going to top stitch around the whole thing, and this is our center and this gets hidden. So I'm going to start top stitching it there because we're never going to see it. So we're going to go slow. About 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 if you want, because it's a raw edge on some of the seams and we can trim it to be a nice flush, clean edge. So we'll take scissors and I'm just making one cut across the bottom. And then if you want, you can either rotary cut or use your scissors on this side as well. I'm just making it so the edges are even. And you could base coat that if you wanted, edge coat it, whatever. I think it's fine just the way it is. I'm not concerned with it. And then this is our bow center. Mine is a little bit shorter than it needs to be because I was using up a scrap, but that's okay, it'll work out. Yours might be wider and it just means you've got a little bit more playroom. So I'm gonna fold this edge up so that we have a nice finished edge, as well as, so top and bottom, just by about 1/4 of an inch, just using some double-sided tape to help me hold it. If you're worried about the back of your vinyl not having something, you could use heat transfer vinyl, or you could use just like a scrap of a thinner fabric, but you don't want your bow to have a ton of extra bulk to it. It may not keep its shape as well. And I'm using vinyl, but you could use fabric and use the exact pattern instructions. Not from the Velora, but from the Fiona bag. Alrighty. So then we're gonna fold this in half-ish to mark our center. And we're gonna grab some thread. Just a decent amount. And then I've got a needle here. You're not necessarily gonna need the needle to sew through anything, especially with this being vinyl, but it'll just kind of help us guide what we're doing here. And I'm gonna have this doubled, and then I'm just gonna do a quick little quilter's knot to knot my threads. Okay. And so right now we're going to create our bow. So we're just gonna fold this a couple times on itself. I think I do like 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 looks good. And you want them to be even. And you're just gonna kind of work out the creases. Okay. And like I said, you don't need to sew through this. We just need to secure it. So we're going to end up wrapping this a couple of times down the center. Ah. Kind of loop it through the back. Okay. Okay. Now we've got our little flare piece for the bow. This is our finished edge. We want that to show. Let's find our center. And we're just going to fold it like 3 times. Yeah, on itself. And what I want to do is kind of tuck the unfinished edge. And we're going to loop all this together again. And I find it easier to do the bow first so that we're not trying to keep all those layers together. But you'll see that that unfinished edge kind of hides under the top bow. We've got this nylon thread here that's going to help hold it all together. And then knot it on the back. This is not the permanent hold. We're going to be making that bow center into a hidden connector, so we just need this to hold for a while. This is its backup plan. So, looking good. And once it's in the bow center, you can kind of readjust it some more. Ooh, so cute. All right, so right now we need to figure out placement for that hidden connector. And you could choose to cover your handles a little bit, which I think I'm gonna do. So I want the hidden connector to start under, right about there. And I'll measure for y'all to know too. Great, so 4.75 down from the top. And then we'll find the center. And this is 9 inches, so 4.5. Oh, 4.5 and 4.5, great. Okay. So I'm going to make a 1-inch line right there, centered. And we're going to take our connector piece and we're going to line that up on top of that line. So this starts our hidden connector. We're going to cut through the side and top lines. The bottom line is dead to us. Don't worry about it. So what I like to do is I'll take my seam ripper and I will slowly cut one line to get that started. I'll cut across the top and down the side. Okay. Connector, which honestly should have just been 1 inch, but it's not going to be a big deal. We're going to slide that up and through. And then give yourself plenty of room for that bow. And then keep in mind, this does not need to be as strong as a hidden strap connector. This is holding a bow that is going to be still sewn into the sides of this bag, minus this piece here. So this is not weight bearing at all. You don't need to be super concerned, but you want to give yourself plenty for that to be wrapped around and then go back through your connector. So I think that looks pretty good. We've got about 1 inch back here, and this is touching the top of our bag. So we are going to sew through that connector above the flap. Do not stitch through the flap. I'm going to do it about 3/4 up. Yeah, I'm top stitching about 3/4 up from the line we made. I'm back stitching pretty well, but not aggressively, because again, it's just holding a bow. So I'm just kind of testing this out. This is going to wrap around. Oh my God, it's so cute every time. And it's going to tuck under. And we're going to be pulling that flap through so that there is no raw edge showing. And you want this to be pretty, not like insanely tight. You want to give it a little room, but you want it to hold pretty well. And now we're just kind of shaping the bow, making sure our tails are equal. And I'm going to go ahead and clip these down here out of the way. Obviously we're going to move them because we have to add our name tag, we have to add our bottom panel, etc. But I just want to make sure that I've got the shape of this bow how I want it. And then also keep in mind that we are going to be adding our side panel at 3 inches down. So keep that in mind for your bow placement as well. And I may have to just deal with that and raise it up a little bit. Just because my bow should have been a little bit wider. It's okay though. We're learning. This is not sewn down yet, so don't think you're free and clear. We gotta sew that down. Okay. There we go. Also, please be nice to me because I've only done one of this before. Only made it one other time. Oh, it just looks so beautiful though. And you can reshape, readjust the bow to drape how you want it. All right, so now to secure this, we're gonna pinch through our flap and the 2 pieces of that connector. And this is gonna be kind of a lot because we're fighting with the bow. But you wanna stitch through the flap and the 2 connectors. But keep in mind, like, you have not sewn this down yet. You've only secured the connector. So if you need to fix anything, rearrange, remake that center bow, recut something, you still can, because things are not stitched down, secure, permanent. Yeah, I think that looks nice. And I kind of like the idea that ruffling on the sides a little bit too. I think it creates a nice little visual moment, so long as it's even. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I love it. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. All right. So we're going to baste down the sides. We've got our bow center secure now. Our sides are where we want them. We're just going to baste that down so it is a little more permanent. If you cut yours to the full width of the Fiona bag pieces, you're just going to have excess that you're going to trim off, and that's okay because you'll be able to kind of adjust the shape of your bow a little bit easier than I was able to. Okay. So I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to add my name tag centered like 2 inches up from the bottom. Sounds good. Which is fun because this is my cousin's last name too. Alrighty. So we don't need our hidden connector template anymore unless you want to use hidden connectors on your side connectors for the bag as well. Crossbody connectors, but I don't think that's necessary. Nameplate face up. Good to go. I'm still laughing at messing that up. All right, I'm gonna replace the markings. This is a 1 inch by 3 inch rectangle, and we'll kind of talk about it later. But now we can work on our side panels, our bottom panel. I'm adding purse feet. We'll work on our crossbody strap in the end. It's fine. Okay, here's our side panels, connectors, D-rings. We need our slip pocket lining for the exterior. This is going to go on the back panel. We're going to put right sides together. That's wrong. No, it's right. Okay. Is it? Yeah, this is rougher. There's a little bit of a white cast. Barely though. Okay, is this a 1/2 inch? 1/2 inch. It's whatever you want it to be. I'm doing 3/8. This is a slip pocket. It's not going to make or break the bag. Give that a nice press. Set this flat, and then I like to roll my lining to the back ever so slightly so that I can see the exterior fabric just a touch. You could also do this the opposite way if you wanted to see a little peek of the lining, kind of like a faux piping. And then it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the bag construction. So like right there, you can see the lining peeking out a little bit. Not a big deal. Make sure that's straight. And we'll just baste all the way around to secure it. And then if you would like to, you can trim your excess, but I'm not worried about it. So there's our front and back, and we'll add our purse feet. I was like, what are these called? I don't know. Snaps? No. All right. And I just used the pattern template to mark out all those holes. Insert these into the bottom. I would love to make a batch of these. It'd be so fun. I haven't batch sewed something in a while. Okay. Did I turn these? No. You're new here? When I put purse feet in, I like to turn them in the opposite direction of the slit I created, just to help make them feel a little more secure. And then we're gonna add duct tape. Woo, duct tape. I don't have any like crappy scissors to cut this with, but ripping it by hand was not working well for me. And you can add 2 layers of Decaville Heavy to the bottom of this if you feel like you need more structure with whatever vinyl you are using. And then another thing you can do is you could top stitch around the bottom, maybe at like an inch all the way around. I think I might do that. I think it'd be cute. So I'm just gonna, like I did for the other part, I'm gonna do a connect the dots situation. Seems awfully close. Let's hope it's okay. All right, so we'll start in one of the holes. Whew. And if you're worried about being even, you can leave your ruler up against the edge as you top stitch. Just make sure you don't move the ruler, of course. Goodness gracious. Oh, that's cute. I like that a lot. Okay, connector time. So I'm gonna be a little fancy and a little excessive with these connectors. I'm gonna top stitch them at 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. I don't know, it's a 3/4 inch connector, so that's a bad little spot for that. I had a little nick on that connector. It'll hold up over time. I know the Lux is good, but it's like right there. Yeah, I feel like 3/8 is too much. So I'm gonna do 1/4 inch all the way down. And we're gonna top stitch it at 1/8, so it's not a problem. You don't have to do this, but I think so it's gonna help with preventing excessive stretching. This is a stress point of the bag because I normally wear it as a crossbody. It's kind of intended as a cute little crossbody, but that needs to have some extra structure. So you could add some Decaville Light to this connector if you wanted. You could add some waterproof canvas, a little strip of that inside the connector to prevent stretching as well. But this line of stitching will help a little bit too. I'm not saying this is gonna fix all your problems. I'm just saying it can't hurt. So I'm gonna grab some 1/4 inch tape on the back side. We're gonna make this 6.5 inches tall all together. If you want that to be a little bit taller, maybe 7 inches, I think you can. I noticed on mine it's just a little wobbly. We've learned so much, bag makers, since bag making began back in my day. So 6.5. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do 6 3/4. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll do 6 3/4. And it's gonna work out. Nobody tells me what to do. Not even myself. Goodness. Okay. And then we'll center that on our side panel. There's really no mistaking which side is which. It is a tapered side panel. Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, we should have about 2 inches on either side. Two and 1/8, 2 and 1/8. All right. Get back here. 2 and 1/8. That just looks crooked. Why do you look crooked? I think it's okay. All right, we're gonna top stitch this on at 1/8 inch seam allowance. Following the edge. We're getting close to the hardware. You don't necessarily want to get as close as you can. You want to get as close as you feel comfortable with getting on your machine. And we're gonna end up riveting right here. 1 is all you really need, but if you want to add multiple, you can. punch my hole. I'm going to carefully rivet through so I don't have any crooked, nope, real cool, crooked rivets. That would be so sad. Oh, it's so pretty. All right, so now everything for our exterior is done. I've made this bag. I know how to do it. Okay, it says I can set them aside for now, but I'm not going to do that. Because I can, well, I get why, but I'm not going to do that. So on these side panels, it's because you're going to do everything to the lining that you're doing to the exterior, but I'm like, just get the exterior done. It's faster for production, I'll say that, to do it this way. That makes more sense from instructing standpoint. Okay, so this one we can fold all the way. If you interfaced, our top edges are now a little bulkier than I would have liked, but it will be okay in the end. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this Do I attach the bottom panel after? Okay, okay. I get it. I get it. All right. So we're gonna attach our side panels and then our bottom panel. It does make it easier. So this is a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I have not folded anything here because I just have to unfold it. So I'm going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to start at the top of that edge, back stitch, come down, and we're going to stop at our 1/2 inch mark. Okay? It's a complicated bag to put together, I'm telling you, but it's worth it in the end. All right. So bottoms lined up, sides lined up, 1/2 inch side seam allowance, and 1/2 inch up from the bottom, back stitch, all the way up. Now we're getting to the top, and I'm stopping about 1/8 of an inch from that edge. I don't want to go near it, okay? Now we can grab our bottom panel. It's a little tricky. You're gonna fold it up and out of the way. And we're gonna sew that on, starting at the stabilizer, 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch seam allowance. And we will be sewing it all the way across the bottom to the next corner. So I'm folding my side panel out of the way to meet that corner. Okay. And now we're going to grab this side and repeat. It's weird, it's tricky, it's worth it. You're worth it. So work it. All right, 1/2 inch up and in. 1/2 inch seam allowance, starting 1/2 inch up. Make sure if your bow has a little ripple, dart that you adjust it so that you don't create a weird pucker. Okay. I am going to cut this excess part out. And then the last time I made this, I did trim down my seam allowances and I liked it. I think I've said, like, you don't have to, but it was nice. All right. And the reason I'm doing this before working on the exterior is just so it's done. But like I said, in the pattern, it's explained later because it's just easier to explain the same thing all at the same time. Instead of saying, like, now go back, I'm like, do this and then do it again. But you have the choice, because I told you you have the choice to do it this way instead. All right, I'm clipping all of this together. I wrote this when Dorothy was barely how old was she? A few months. Crazy. Okay, there's that. Make sure the tails of your bow are out of the way. Now we're going to grab the bottom panel, folding your side panels out of the way, and we're going to attach that. Half-inch seam allowance and stop at 1/2 inch back stitch. And now we're going to fold the side seam, the side panel, get everything straightened out. I've got it with this side up so that I can see where I started and stopped sewing. I also have that 1/2 inch marked out. So there's that. Really doesn't matter which side. I just don't want my side seam to like buckle. So I'll go from this direction. Excuse you. And you don't want to leave any gaps in your stitching. Okay. And then we're going to carefully trim down our seam allowance. I'm going to go past the bow. And I'm going to go under the slip pocket. And you want to trim down some of the bulk in the corners without cutting through anything of major importance. It's kind of like a geometry problem, truly. Under the bow, under the slip pocket, and just reduce the bulk without cutting through any stitches. It's so cute. And that's why I wanted to just put it together really quick. All right, so that's good. So now that I'm here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some 1/2 inch double-sided tape, about a 3-inch piece. You could also glue this if you wanted, but we're gonna tape that little 1x3 box. This is not in the pattern. Kind of is, but it kind of isn't. And we're gonna tape that open. And you want your bulk to point in to create that little angle. And then clip it because our lining's not done. Okay. So be careful if you have a domestic machine, what you choose to make your bow out of and where you're placing it. Right now that bow is in my seam allowance, causing a little extra bulk. I know my machine can handle it, so I'm not concerned, but just be careful. Or you could place it at maybe 5.5 inches down, and then you would more than likely be safe from it sneaking. You might be able to trim away some of the bulk from that area, especially like where it's folded, just that side panel. I'm gonna try it just a little bit. And we are keeping it wrong side out for right now, but it won't be obviously forever. Okay. All right, so it has some really great structure. I'm loving the way the side panels are feeling, and we still have our lining to add. So I think it's gonna be great. It's great. Set that aside for now. We're gonna move on to our lining, which will be fairly quick. We have a zipper pocket and a zipper panel, so we'll need 2 zippers. We're gonna need 1 magnetic snap. And then pretty much all of our lining pieces. I am adding a zipper overlay to this, and I explained how I cut it out within the Cutting the Bow Lora, since that's what I'm calling this video. There's that. And then for the zipper panel, maybe that. I like eyeballing it. It's fine. All right, adding our zipper pull for both zippers, and then I'm gonna start by working on my zipper pocket and zipper overlay, but I'm gonna prep my recessed zipper now. I'm going to do that by taking 2 clips and my lighter, my zipper. I'll separate the teeth, fold the raw edge at the top to meet the side finished edge, and I just melt it together. You could also use glue. You can sew it, you can staple it, whatever you would like to do. This is what I like to do. And then melt it into each other. You don't have to go crazy. And then I just leave that clipped until I'm ready to use it. Set that aside. Okay. Side panels. All right. We need to repeat the same step. Exterior and lining. So on the wrong side of my side panels, I'm making my 1-inch line that I'm going to fold the top edge down to. And can also make that 1/2 inch mark if you need to. Okay, set those aside. It's not where that goes. I'm sorry. I'm like, let me get all these fiddly things out of the way. I'm gonna add my washers and my snap pieces. Just, it'll be nice to have it done. So on our upper lining pieces, we're going to use the pattern piece marking for where our magnetic snap goes. We're going to center that on the middle of the washer. In the middle of the washer, in my dreams. Sorry. Okay. Poke through. Do not skip on using Decaville Heavy for this part to reinforce the snaps. This is a huge factor in the shape of the bag. Okay, so one side is going to get one side. If your print is directional, keep that in mind, but otherwise these pieces are the exact same size and it's centered, so you're good to go. I will say I like using thin magnetic snaps for that, but whatever you have will be fine. So that's our base. One of these is our slip pocket. I'm just laughing because I was like, I'm gonna start with zipper. No, I'm not. I'm gonna end with zipper. 1/4 inch tape at the top. We're gonna fold that edge over. And the fabric I'm using, it's called Renew Canvas. It will eventually fray, so I'm just gonna fold this over again. And we'll top stitch that so it's a nice folded edge. It's not too bulky. I absolutely love this base. It's kind of silky, it's soft, and it still has great structure. So absolutely love working with it. We're gonna grab one of our lining pieces. If you're not sure what the orientation on this should be, grab the base panel and they should be the same width. So this is where our slip pocket's gonna go. And I'm gonna baste that down. If you want to, you can add some dividing lines, but I don't think it's super necessary. And then you could snip your center. At the top. So we've got that ready, and that ready, and these ready. So I'll just set these over here. And then we can grab our zipper. This part is not in the pattern, but I'm gonna add my lining at 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 or 1/8. So lining right side up, zipper right side up. We do not turn the bag through the pocket. The bag kind of turns through the sides that are left open, and then you close them top stitching, so we don't have to worry about a turn hole. You can make the pocket whatever size you need. If you decide you don't need a zipper pocket, then the bag will be fine without it. So I'm going to press that flat, add some double-sided tape. Who am I with this 1/4 inch tape? Get out of here. My preference is 1/8 inch on a zipper overlay. Okay, now we have our piece here. We're going to press that. I'll go back to the instructions and read where it wants me to add this. Where do you want me to add this? 1 inch from the top. All right. I'm going to do 1 1/4 inches because I have an overlay. 1 1/4 inches. So we're going to peel the tape, lay this into place. I'm going to add a little woven label. And I'm definitely going to add this somewhere. But where? I guess I'll add this here. My cousin will get a kick out of it. We'll make her happy. So adding my woven label there, and then we'll add this kind of centered underneath here. So it's kind of a lot going on in there, but I think it's going to be fun in the end. So attach the overlay. Pull my threads to the back. I'm going to make sure I stop in the same place. I'm gonna sew that label on. we're cutting through the excess fabric around the overlay. I'll go ahead and cut and fuse these so they don't go anywhere. Oh, it's so cute. All right, we want our zipper to zip to the left. Well, I want mine to. You can have yours any way you want. I'm going to start by sewing the bottom first. I'll leave my tails long. Dang it, I backstitched. Why did I do that? Oh well, for consistency. Okay, and then we'll flatten that down. I'm going to be trimming my lining pieces. They will not remain as long as they are. Peel that and just let it relax to the size it needs to be, and then we'll top stitch away from the zipper, and then we'll unzip right at the end. Oh, I was like, what is that? All right, we're getting close. It's time to bring the zipper pull in, pivot, and then pull our threads to the back. Recently, I've been doing this zipper pocket with the overlay. It gets quicker the more and more that you practice with it. So I used to be like, no thank you, because I didn't want to knot my threads and I didn't want to start and stop, but it truly feels rewarding to do it. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. Great. All right, so we're going to, because of the way I cut this, I've got quite a bit that I'm just going to be cutting off. But I'm okay with that. You may not be okay with that, so you can cut to the dimensions given in the pattern. But we're going to trim that down. We're almost done. Oh, okay. This is too, okay. It's okay. There we go. Oh, it's so cute. So now you've got a fully zippered pocket. And we'll mark our center there. Set that aside and work on a zipper panel. Who am I? So this is pre-taped, pre-marked. Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm just now realizing how often I say Mark. And it's like, oh my God, who is he? Who's Mark? Talk about him all the time. Well, it's my friend Tracy's husband, obviously. I feel like there's other Marks out there. Jen's husband? Is he a Mark? I don't know. My guess is neither of them will watch this, so. Georgie's husband? Is he a Mark? It doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, that's the one that's marked. Oh, there you go, talking about Mark again. That's gonna be on the wrong side. And this zipper panel, you don't really see under the zipper panel, it's fine. All right. Yeah, you top stitch so that it's a depressed zipper panel. So it's fine. So we're gonna lay this about 1/4 to 1/8 inch away from that top folded edge. And then we'll grab a lining piece. The wrong side, like the underside. And those will go together, and you'll do anywhere from 1/4 to 3/8 inch seam allowance. Starting at 1/8, ending at 1/8. And we'll open it up. I like to make sure I press it from either side, from both sides. Get that so it sits nicely. And then we'll top stitch all the way around. I'm starting at the open edge, going across the short side of the panel and then coming across. You don't want to start sewing up against the zipper edge to start because you'll see that stitching, but this gets hidden in the seam allowance. So like, don't start here, start here, in, around, and back up. Okay. So we're going to repeat those steps on the other side of the zipper. All right, repeat. You can also choose to sew across the top completely raw edge first. It's whatever floats your boat. And now that was the last part that you need to finish for your lining. Your zipper is going to be much shorter than mine, and that's okay. We're going to leave it long until the very end. Then you can add your zipper end. But we're going to gather all of our pieces back up. We're going to start with the side. If you added a zipper pocket, we're going to start with that side. We're going to center our zipper panel on that side, and then we're going to grab one of our upper lining pieces, and they should meet up as far as the width goes. And it's a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch. Okay, 1/2 inch. That one has to be exact. You can't say screw you, Lauren, on that one. All right, we're gonna flip this up. Your zipper panel should have been zipper up. You lift that and you can see zipper here. And we're gonna sew under that seam through the bulk. And we're going to repeat that on this side to add the other zipper panel side. If you want to, you could completely detach the zipper as well and then line it up in the end. And it doesn't matter what orientation, it only matters if you've got a directional print. So if you do, just make sure that you've lined it up correctly and then flip it down. You're reverse engineering in that way. 1/2 inch. This bag will not turn out correctly if you do not have accurate seam allowances. So then, shut up. That's bad. Oh my God, I wondered where these were. Okay, that is my seam allowance, so it's okay, but all right, flipping that up, top stitching through, make sure everything else is out of the way, and you're only top stitching through that panel. All right. So now, this part is not in the pattern, but it kind of is. Before we move on, what we can do is on the top corner, we're gonna make that same little 1 inch by 3 inch box. Make sure the panel's sitting as nicely as possible. We don't need to worry about folding it just yet, but that is good. And then it can't hurt to mark 1/2 inch along the wrong side bottom of your side panel. And this is so you know where to start and stop. And you know that your lining is already a little bit shorter because we've cut the side panel down a little bit. So we're good there. It'll sit nicely. Okay, so line the side panel up, and it should sit right at or just under your top stitched side panel or your top stitched lining, where your upper lining meets your lower lining. And we're going to sew that at 1/2 inch. Also, don't give up on this pattern. I know that it seems complicated. But once you get it, it's so satisfying and fun to sew. Okay. So that is my sides on that panel, and now we'll attach the bottom. We're going to fold the side panel out of the way. We're going to start at about 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch up. 1/2 inch seam allowance starting at 1/2 inch. And make sure you backstitch. Okay, so that sides and bottom added to 1/2 of the lining, and we can repeat that on the other. It's kind of like you're building a box. Okay. Make sure you're starting at an 1/8 of an inch under the side panel. Okay. So our side panels are completely attached to the lining. It's our bottom panel that we need to worry about now. So we can fold your side panel out of the seam, and that's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can move your zipper pocket out of the way so you're not sewing through it accidentally. Bobbin got me. Rude. Okay. Oh man, this will be enough for top stitch, but it's not enough for strap. So make sure you've got like 2 full bobbins ready to go, and you should be okay. Okay, and then we'll pinch the layers down to sew along the side seam. And make sure you're back stitching. And the other side, bottom. All right. Now all we have is exterior lining to put together and stupid crossbody strap. So I'm going to trim down excess where I can, because you do not want to cut through your stitches. I chose a lining that wasn't super bulky, so we should be okay. I don't want to cut through my slip pocket. So I think so long as you've gotten quite a bit of the bulk out of the lining, you should be okay. But I want my slip pocket to be nice and sturdy when it comes to the side seams. Okay, we can unzip our zipper. And we can tape our lining now on those marks we made. So this is going to make it match what we've done to the interior. We're going to fold that down to meet the 1-inch line. And then you can add a little clip where the side panel connects, because you want the side panel to be pointed in. This gives quite a bit of structure to the bag, so you want to be mindful of keeping that consistent. This bag does have a large size included in the pattern. I made like 3 of them, maybe more. Probably more, I just don't remember. But that one's fun to make as well, but not as fun as the small for me. Because the small was the original size, but then I think in testing I was kind of like, people would want a bigger one, wouldn't they? Okay. So there's that. I set it and then I did the freaking opposite. I top stitched under. I didn't top stitch it down. That's okay. It kind of, it'll do. It's not the end of the world. It just created maybe a little bit more bulk in here than I would have liked, because this seam would have been pointing up. Gosh, freaking idiot. All right, we're gonna turn this so it's right side out. And this is a great time to check that your bottom seams are fully sewn. There's no weird holes. And then I like to put the zipper pocket on the opposite side of the bow, so you've got 2 slip pockets on opposite sides. You're gonna tuck the bows, not the bows, the handles down inside the bag. Same with our zipper. And we're just going to worry about the top edge for right now. You want to make sure that you line up your folded edges. Do your best to not stretch your fabric. And we're going to clip that together. Repeat that on your other side. And if you want, you could even fold your lining fabric to be just a hair shorter than your exterior if you wanted, so that you definitely don't see it from the exterior. But I think it's fine either way. All right, and then we're gonna sew at a 1/2 inch seam allowance just across that top seam, starting and stopping about 1/8 of an inch from the outside edge. and back stitching. Love how I haven't been worried about thread up until this point. I'm like, meh, it'll get tucked inside the bag. You're never gonna open it. Don't look at my mess. Eighth of an inch in with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And stopping at the 1/8 of an inch as well. Okay. And now is the fun part of turning the bag. So you're going to separate your exterior and your lining, and you've got this big open area. So we're going to start by pulling the bottom corner. Working on that first. Pushing that out. And then giving your bottom corners a gentle push with your thumb. Okay. And then your lining should kind of sit back to normal, tucking in all those loose threads. It's like when your mom tells you to clean your room and you're like, no, it's fine. Don't look. Don't worry about it. You can't see it. All right. So now comes the fun part. I wince a little because it's not that fun, but I think it's fun. But we're going to top stitch the bag after we get everything kind of folded nicely. You could even glue and let it sit. On these little corner pieces, you want to fold everything in and add a clip. And hopefully your bulk is a little more spaced out than mine. It's not a big deal. My machine can do it, but it's just like, dang it. And your lining side panel, you want to make sure it's tucked down just a little bit. You can add strategic little pieces of tape. We've kind of morphed a drop-in lining, if you think about it. It's not a drop-in lining, but it's also not quite a drop-in lining. So, a hybrid. Hybrid? How you doing? Okay. I'm tucking in my little excess fabric as well. If you want to try to trim it, you can. It would help, especially if you have a domestic machine for top stitching, but kind of unavoidable. Turning that in. And then side panel. And if your seam allowances were dead on, you should be looking good. Before I top stitch, I'm gonna just look at it. That seam allowance should have been down. Dang it. Oh, let me push. Push your lining in all the way, and it should not be saggy at all because it sits up a little bit higher than the exterior. So you've got that slip pocket, you've got a nice zippered pocket, you've got that zipper panel which should face down. Oh. Yeah, that should face down. And then the magnetic snap is kind of like your backup closure. Obviously, it's not going to keep things from completely falling out, but it's just the backup. Oh. So now at this point, you can kind of reshape your bow. If you need to, you can add glue in there carefully. I love it. So cute. Yeah, and just kind of reshape it. You can even tuck the tails kind of under and you'll see now what that looks like. Oh, get back at it there. It's so cute. Ah. Okay, I have to top stitch this. Is everything still filming? Well, the important ones are. Okay. Dude, I cannot tell you how mad I am about my zipper. Now it's going to be obvious. The pen mark. Dang it. Darn it. Okay. If you trust yourself, you could top stitch it this way, but I'm not about that. Start on the back, the top. And it's really not that bad to top stitch. But it's a lot of pivoting because you've got those like angled corners. Pivot. And you want to make sure that you're not pulling, pulling on your side corners, your side panels. You want to make sure it is seated nicely when you top stitch it. And then you can kind of pull as needed on the side panels here. Okay, we're approaching our next side panel, and we want to tuck everything back in and keep that corner as square as possible. We're about to be hitting some bulk because of that bow. Okay. Back to a little bit of a bulky area. Keep that corner as best you can. And we're going to walk up. If you run into a tricky spot in sewing, do not immediately start going as fast as you can to try to get over the problem. You can't run away from your problem in sewing. You have to just walk slow and rearrange and see what you can do. So I got a little weird looking spot there. That's okay. Straighten it back out. we go. On this spot. This is our last corner. After this, the bag is done. Now everything is sewn together. I almost said properly, but is it? Is it properly? Stinking zipper. Okay. So we'll add our zipper end, which I didn't grab one. I'll go ahead and make a little tassel. And then I'll make my crossbody strap off camera. We're just gonna fold it, and top stitch it. But here we have our little tassel. If you wanted to add some more like, I don't know, like you can add D-rings to both sides. You could add a D-ring to all four. I think that's excessive. I wouldn't say add your crossbody strap to those D-rings and omit the side panels, although having the pressure points there instead of here would make it more even. You can kind of see it's tippy, but it's not so low that it'll just fall over, because there's nothing worse than a bag that's not like balanced. I know paste film is annoying, but keeps it from getting all scratched. So clip that on there. I'll grab some glue. Although, no, don't clip it to your bag before you finished it. Let your glue dry first. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare that would be. Okay, get a good heap in there. Screwdriver, and I'm gonna grab stiletto to poke my hole through everything. And I like to where the seam is next to the screw. It's not somewhere else where it can kind of come undone after a while. Okay, hole poked. Glue off the stiletto. And then we'll screw that down, and then we'll still need to add a zipper end to the zipper. There you go. What did it do? Did it move out of the way? I think it did. I'm doing a great job. I am bag maker. Did it all just slip out? Can't tell now. No. Okay. Okay. I feel like it did it again. But let's hope the glue keeps it from coming undone. Okay? I am just out of practice. So I'm going to use this paper to wipe off the excess glue. And I'll leave it over here to dry. It's a free bag. She'll love it. But that is it for me. That's enough. That's enough for me. For the Bow Lora bag, this turned out so cute. So cute. I love it all solid. It's cute. The one I have is a Rapunzel print, or like it's a Disney print, and it's all the print, which looks nice, but I think it's also fun being solid and super obvious and feminine and fun. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit. I can't wait to see if you make one of these. Please, please, please let me know, and I will see you all later. Bye. All right, all right. What the fuck?